thank you so much, Lieutenant, for joining us. I really appreciate your time. Your earliest memories of abuse were from your childhood. Tell me about that.
Lived in a home where violence was pretty much the norm. My father was an alcoholic. He was on drugs pretty bad. We're a family of 6 children, so it was an everyday occurrence. Um, he had picked up my sister, kicked her, threw her in the tub. I had experienced physical abuse, sexual abuse, pretty much my whole childhood. In addition to some of my other sisters. So whenever that's all you know and that's all you see, you already create in your head or in your mind what a relationship is. And when it's an unhealthy one, that relationship is identified as an unhealthy one as well.
And so, from your childhood, this continued to your adult life. And looking at you and your career, you became a sheriff's deputy. There you are, answering domestic violence calls, going home to home, helping people, a superhero, if you will, in a uniform. But you had a situation within your own home where you were the victim of abuse. It was your husband. Did your colleagues ever suspect anything?
I think they saw red flag indicators, they saw signs, but whenever he really started to act out, they started to witness firsthand the control, the anger. They would see small indicators personally, and it was never really brought to my attention, or they never really asked me about it. But they were more than likely thinking it.
You were married for 6 years before the abuse started, which again, and I've done a lot of work, as you know, with survivors. That's such a unique set of circumstances that it happened after 6 years of being together.
The violence, it started later on in the relationship, but the red flags were there in the beginning. But like I said, whenever your relationship's already identified as an unhealthy one through your childhood, whenever you see somebody who lashes out, who busts out windows, who rams a vehicle, who goes off on tirades, that's acceptable. That's what you see. That's what you know, and that's what I was exposed to in the beginning. And he was my knight in shining armor. He had saved my life. He had taken me out of that violent home, and then my knight in shining armor became my monster.
But you are now the knight in shining armor for so many families who are living right now with abusers. The whole point of the show today, our intention is to talk about the uptick in domestic violence where people are sheltered in place with abusers. What are you seeing in Louisiana?
We're seeing an increase in numbers of calls being reported in, of incidents taking place in home. You have to add to the equation the isolation. You have people who are stressed. They have no income. They're not working. They're not able to leave the house to de-stress. You add to that the having to educate or school your children at home. You're all confined in this small space. And so it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Who are not accustomed to being in each other's face all day, every day.
You know, I wanted you to share your personal history, not to expose pain, but to expose how we can triumph over pain. And one of the things that you've done with your sheriff's department and your team there to help survivors of domestic abuse, you buy diapers, bus tickets. I mean, there are other cities and states who are looking at the model that you've put in place, you and your team, and are copying it, which is a fantastic thing. Tell me about why, combined with your history, combined with your team, you all felt that you needed to go that extra mile, down to buying somebody diapers.
We don't feel like it's extra. We feel it's necessary for us to help to provide these services that are needed to our victims who might be staying in a situation because they can't pay rent or they can't afford diapers. They can't afford the situation. So they'll put themselves in these predicaments, and you would be surprised what a mother will do and expose themselves to for the sake of their children.